Mr. Donald Glover, Mr. Atlanta, Mr. Childish Gambino, and it's in relation to film and TV creators. It says Donald Glover's tweets about film and TV creators got fans confused, and he says I saw people on here having a discussion about how tired they were about reviewing boring stuff, in parentheses TV and film. We're getting boring stuff and not even experimental mistakes because people are afraid of getting canceled. So they feel like they can only experiment with aesthetic. Also because some of them know not that good. So cancel culture is something that we've talked about in various forms or whatever. At some point throughout, the duration of the podcast, it's come up multiple times. And I know you brought this one to the table. Was your point? I'm thinking about how this applies to creativity of a musical artist. Were you thinking it was just the same thing could be applied to a musician, or
I just thought
or is it just creatives across the board?
I just thought it was a better topic than talking about DJ Khaled, to be honest.
Well, I'll take that too. Yeah, I'll take that too.
There you have it.
With you when you're right, brother.
Yeah, no, I thought it was interesting. I thought it was interesting because I had just watched something earlier in the day too about Dave Chappelle and Louis C.K. talking about being canceled as comedians. And then this article came up, and I just thought it was interesting that he said that, creators are afraid of cancellation. Now, what that means that's not necessarily the part that I'm overly interested about. It's the claims of boring art aspect of it. So, I mean, I guess they're obviously tied together, but the fact that creatives, even if we think of like Hollywood related things, like we're seeing so many like remakes of movies that have kind of worked in the past because people don't apparently have new ideas, but we know that's not the case, right? We know that there are plenty of ideas. It's just people don't want to take the risk. I do think that at the same time that he's got some merit in saying that, creators are afraid of being canceled. Maybe they won't say something that they're, I don't know. It's a fickle business. So, I mean, I didn't have any like pristine, like, spectacular insights on this. I just thought it was interesting. Yeah, I just thought it was an interesting take, and that I actually agreed with. So,
let me ask you this, Lone, before I get to the rest of the fellas. I know we got to get out of here. On the topic of cancel culture, right?
Okay.
Fast forward 808s and heartbreaks, 2021. How was that creative reach, quote unquote, received?
I'm the last person to talk to because I don't know that album. So,
oh man, you could tell me where you at? Jay Diff, you listen to 808s, right?
I actually just listened to 808.
It came out. You remember?
It's last week.
Okay, so you remember what the vibe was when he first performed "Love Lockdown," right?
Mm-hmm.
Remember that? So how do you think that would be received now? The cancelers come out and be like, "What the hell is he doing? This shit is weird. I don't know what Kanye is thinking about." You know what I mean? Like it. That's a huge creative risk.
I mean, that's mild, honestly. If we're talking about shit that people are getting canceled over, the lyrics on
I'm talking about musically
Lockdown,
now, not.
Are you saying the whole album as a vibe?
The whole album, the whole concept of it.
Listen, I think that album came out at the perfect time. I don't know if I could necessarily place it right now. I don't think it would hurt or harm anything though. But as far as being canceled, I don't think that's not a good choice personally. I don't think as far as an album that could have possibly been canceled.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, when we're talking about what Donald Glover is speaking on Childish Gambino, I understand what he's saying, because I think a lot of these people and comedians and producers are kind of toting the rope, scared to come up with things and scared to say things a certain way based on cancel culture and people being overly sensitive to certain things and certain topics. So
I
I
think it
do
applies to
understand
music
that.
too, though. That's I guess that's what I'm saying. I think it applies to.
You
don't
can
think
do
it
whatever
does?
you
I
want.
think it definitely
You can
applies
do whatever
to
you want in
music,
hip
but
hop.
I'm saying I don't think that particular album.
Living
I don't think that
upside the
album
head. You do
counts as
whatever you
something
want.
that it would apply to.
Maybe okay. So
Yeah,
that
but as
album is
far
a
as
bad
like,
example. I got you. I got you.
Yeah.
If I want to make a
it's
song,
a terrible example of cancel culture.
if I want to make a song about how reverse racism, which isn't a thing, but if I wanted to make a song about it,
Right.
then it's going to be scrutinized in a specific way, right? I feel like, but I do think it's a lot different though. I do feel like the mediums are a lot different. Yeah, I think it's more so like the music aspect is mostly based around the specific subject matter of specific types of artists. But to Jay's point, like you really can say almost anything in hip hop and get away with it.
Okay.
The difference with music and television and acting and things like that is a musician can say something today and be so cast out as canceled, and they can make another album next week, and it doesn't matter. And whoever wants to pick it up can pick it up. But as far as when it comes to acting and being in shows and things like that, you can do some shit and nobody's going to hire you. You have to be hired to work in Hollywood and do these movies because you're not writing the movies and acting in the movies unless you're Tyler Perry. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there's other people that do it too, but at the same time, other people are going to have to want to work with you. They don't want to feel like they're going to get alienated for working with you. Just like Aziz Ansari, who dropped one of the dopest TV shows with Master of None.
Yep.
You haven't seen a new season of that shit until it's about to come out now.
He's not even going to be a main character
because of some. That's crazy. But it pretty much stopped everything that was going on that because somebody allegedly said something that he did, and he was never convicted or found guilty of any of that shit. But it still lingers based on cancel culture and people wanting to get something out of these artists. And I'm not saying that these people aren't doing things, but at the same time, there is a lot of people that are overly sensitive to a lot of things based on bad experiences. So they just group everything all in the same thing or in the same cup.
Look, there's no such,
so eloquently
there's really
down.
There's really no such thing as cancel culture. There is pause culture to where, okay, you gotta or timeout culture. You gotta chill for a minute. But then, if you're talented enough, you're going to get to come back. Aziz Ansari, I mean, he had to address what happened, but he still got another Netflix special. His show is coming back.
It's
been 4 years. It's been 4 years.
The only person there's only been two people that's been canceled. I think
completely canceled.
No, I only say one. I was going to say Bill Cosby and R. Kelly, but really it's just R. Kelly because I can still watch The Cosby Show and A Different World on Amazon.
I see yesterday.
Enjoy them thoroughly. R. Kelly, like DJs play his music, and there are people who are like, "Really? Is that what you're doing right now?"
Facts.
Like, I mean, mind you, his music is about his crime, so that's what that is. But you know how hard it is to actually cancel. Like, even with somebody like Louis C.K., there are people who are like, when they look at it, be like, okay, it was messed up that he pulled his dick out in front of some people. But I've even heard women say this. It was like, who said like those women need to grow up. I mean, like who have been through actual sexual assault, and were like, so what? He pulled his dick out in front of you. Like that's bad, but like please stop acting like it's the end of the world.
He still ain't working.
Very hard.
Still ain't
like,
working.
Look, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. Do you realize like there had to be a Capitol riot and police officers had to get killed before they thought about canceling Donald Trump? So like, don't tell me about canceling anybody else. Y'all couldn't even cancel.
I mean,
Donald
he was at the end of his.
And he's not canceled now.
Matter. He still ain't canceled.
Yeah, so get out of here. Talk about cancel culture.
Y'all have really
they don't cancel what they want to cancel. Just like Pee Wee Herman got canceled for a nice amount of time until the movie with Johnny Depp came out, and he was like, "Damn, Pee Wee Herman is playing a drug dealer in this movie."
The character Pee Wee Herman was canceled, but I remember even after he got, and first of all, you know, he was in a porno movie theater. What was he supposed to be doing? You know, they was just mad because it was Pee Wee Herman doing it. And the thing is, I remember he came out. He was out at MTV Movie Awards that, you know, maybe 3 or 4 months later, talking about, hey, heard any good jokes lately? Like, there's no, like I said, everybody overstates what cancel culture is. There is pause and timeout culture, but everybody, barring you really doing something to underage girls, you get to come back. Like, think about it. Ray Lewis. Ray Lewis was on trial for murder. 3 years later, he was on a cover of John Madden Football.
Oh, check this out, though. Check this out. I want to thank y'all for illustrating and showing me how awful that comparison was that I said for Mr. West, because y'all each broke it down to let me know that was a terrible choice. So I appreciate y'all for bringing me on back home. I'm just trying to tie the music thing in, but that wasn't the album, because content on there is nowhere near the shit that y'all talking about. So yes, I will go ahead and hold the L for that one. But nah, man, like, it's when Jay Moore starts saying he can do anything and rap.
Snoop Dogg got a song on Rhythm and Gangster called "You Gotta Control Your Hoe."
Thanks.
And you brought up 808
it's towards the back
and
end.
Heartbreak as something.
Once again, he was talking about Snoop Dogg, who was up on murder charges, and he is the most successful pitchman in the history of hip hop.
I swear he on Triller doing celebrity boxing announcing. And
the thing about cancel culture is you're actually only going to get canceled for doing certain types of crimes or being accused of certain type of crimes. Murder isn't one of them.
Accused is a good word,
because you got Ray Lewis and you got Snoop Dogg. You got all kind of people that have been acquitted or involved in some kind of murderous act, and they never were canceled in the first place. Think about it.
Mike Tyson
has to be some kind of sexual misconduct.
Rape. Mike Tyson was convicted of rape, and he's still out here. I mean, most people like myself don't believe he actually did what they accused him of doing. And that's part of. But Mike Tyson was on The View. Here is a talk show with all women, and they're laughing and smiling with Mike Tyson, even though he's a convicted rapist.
It's a fact.
Come on, cancel culture
is not real.
Though cancel culture is new. Cancel culture is pretty much new. He did that shit in the early 90s, and he served his time, and now he back out here doing what he do. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know.
Hey, that's the way it should work.
If Bill Cosby had been convicted of his shit in like the 80s or 90s and served his time back then, and then came back out here and went on a I'm sorry, Chitlin Circuit review or whatever the fuck.
I gotta be why I gotta be Chitlin Circuit?
He'll be out here too.
I'm telling you right now,
there
are enough people who think Bill Cosby was railroaded that if he gets out of jail and he says, I'm going on tour, Bill Cosby gonna sell out the motherfucking arenas wherever he goes.
Just had to say Chitlin Circuit.
Boosie will open up for him.
I'll fuck around and go see Bill Cosby. I don't care what none of y'all said.
You know what? No. We have to be able to accept when people like are punished for their crimes. They should be allowed to come back into society at some point, shouldn't they?
I mean, I feel
that's what it's supposed to mean.
I got supposed to be about Michael Vick. I was like, he did 2 years in federal prison for killing for dogs, and then also that makes me feel some type of way, because there are people who get no time in any type of prison for killing black people. So I don't want to hear about no dogs, even though I love dogs.
Don't get me started on that. That shit was stupid.
This is where we need to stop, because I get to really telling these.
Yeah, we ain't gonna go down that road. Because
if you've enjoyed this segment of the New Old Heads podcast, make sure to join our live show every Tuesday from 9 to 11 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/newoldheads. And we invite you to join our hip hop community on Discord. Access it by going to newoldheads.com/community for talks on hip hop, sports, music, news, and everything else.